Hello and welcome. You're about to embark on a thrilling journey through the audio version of my book, Guardians of the Time Balance: How a Warrior and a Panda Save Time, written by me, Alden Gray. Immerse yourself in a world where ancient wisdom meets futuristic adventure. Join Meylin, a courageous warrior, and Bao, her loyal companion, as they navigate the twists and turns of time to restore balance to a world on the brink of chaos. Experience each character brought vividly to life with dynamic voice performances, capturing the heart of their journey. Narrated by Sierra, an expressive voice, this audiobook invites you into a realm where the past and future collide. Now sit back, relax, and let the adventure begin.
Front matter. Title: Guardians of the Time Balance: How a Warrior and a Panda Save Time. Written by Alden Gray. Dedication. The following dedication is voiced by the author.
This book is dedicated to those who believe in the power of friendship, courage, and the endless possibilities that lie within the imagination. To my family, friends, and all the readers who continue to support me, thank you for being part of this journey. And most importantly, I want to dedicate this book to my beloved wife, Noel, and my daughter, Ashley. Your encouragement and unwavering support inspire me every day to continue creating stories that ignite the imagination and warm the heart. This journey would not have been possible without your love and belief in me.
Author notes.
As the author, I wanted to create a story that would capture the imaginations of young readers and adults alike, a narrative filled with adventure, mystery, and heart. Writing Guardians of the Time Balance was a journey in itself, exploring the intersection of history and science fiction, and the timeless themes of friendship, redemption, and the fight for balance. I hope you enjoy listening to this audiobook as much as I enjoyed writing it.
Preface. In a world where time and space collide, where ancient wisdom meets futuristic technology, the journey of our heroes is one of balance, bravery, and discovery. Guardians of the Time Balance is a tale that blends the past with the future, weaving a narrative that explores the strength of the human spirit and the bonds that unite us across time. This story is meant to inspire, entertain, and remind us that no matter how vast the universe may seem, we are all connected by the threads of time and destiny. Introduction. Prepare for a journey beyond the ordinary, into a realm where time and reality intertwine in ways you've never imagined. Guardians of the Time. Balance invites you to traverse a universe where ancient civilizations are not mere remnants of the past, but vital players in a cosmic dance with alien forces and advanced technologies. In this epic tale, you'll meet Meylin, a courageous warrior determined to unravel the mysteries hidden within a timeline rich with quantum secrets. Beside her stands Bao, a seemingly playful red panda who possesses the extraordinary ability to manipulate time itself. Then there's Marcus, a Roman gladiator, suddenly thrust into an adventure that transcends centuries as he battles to understand his place in this intricate web of destiny. Guided by Gaiting, a sage with profound spiritual insight, and protected by Shenlong, a celestial dragon who guards the fragile balance of time, they embark on a perilous quest that spans dimensions and realities. Their journey will lead them across parallel universes, where the very fabric of existence is woven with ancient wisdom and cosmic mysteries. Along the way, they will uncover secrets long hidden by extraterrestrial beings and confront dark forces from alternate realities. Beings who seek to disrupt the balance of time and impose their chaotic will upon the universe. In this world, every decision ripples through the vastness of time, and each step taken by our heroes could alter the fate of countless worlds. This is not just a story of adventure, it's a saga where time travel, ancient civilizations, and quantum theories collide, revealing a universe far more interconnected and complex than we ever dared to dream. Join us now as we venture into the unknown, a world of cosmic battles, ancient wisdom, and the boundless possibilities of time. The fate of the universe lies in the courage and unity of a few brave souls. Are you ready to journey with them? Chapter 1. The Forest Awakens. Into the Mystical Forest. In this captivating opening chapter titled The Forest Awakens, Meylin, a determined young warrior, sets off on an adventurous journey through a mystical forest. As she explores this enchanted environment, Meylin encounters Bao, a playful red panda with a mysterious secret. Their initial meeting, full of wonder and lighthearted moments, sets the stage for the deep friendship and exciting adventures that lie ahead. Entering the mystical forest. Meylin paused at the edge of the forest, her breath catching in her throat as she gazed into the depths of the towering trees. The trunks stood tall and proud, their ancient bark covered in delicate patterns of moss that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. Overhead, the canopy of leaves formed a dense ceiling, yet it wasn't dark. Soft, ethereal light filtered through the foliage, casting a greenish hue on everything below. The forest was alive with magic. Meylin could feel it pulsing in the air, a tangible energy that made her heart race with excitement. She had heard stories of this place, of the mysterious forest where ancient powers and untold secrets lay hidden, but nothing had prepared her for the reality. It was beautiful, yes, but also unsettling. Every rustle of leaves, every distant chirp of an unseen creature, seemed to carry with it a whisper of the unknown. Drawing a deep breath, Meylin took her first step into the forest. The soft ground, covered in a thick layer of fallen leaves, cushioned her footfalls. She moved carefully, her warrior instincts alert to every sound and movement around her. This was not a place to be careless. As she ventured deeper, the forest seemed to close in around her, the trees growing closer together, their branches intertwining overhead like the arches of a grand cathedral. Luminescent plants lined her path, their leaves emitting a gentle glow that lit the way forward. Some were tall and slender, their stems swaying gracefully as if moved by an invisible breeze, while others were low to the ground, spreading their light like tiny lanterns. Meylin's eyes widened as she took in the strange shapes and colors of the plants, many of which she had never seen before. Here and there, the undergrowth rustled as small animals scurried away at her approach, but she could never quite catch sight of them. It was as if the forest itself was watching her, deciding whether or not to reveal its secrets. As she continued on her path, something caught her eye, a gleam of metal among the leaves. Curiosity piqued, Meylin knelt down and brushed aside the foliage to reveal a strange object partially buried in the earth. It was unlike anything she had ever seen before, a smooth, sleek artifact with a surface that reflected the green light of the forest in shimmering waves. She could not fathom its purpose, but it was clear that this object did not belong in her world, or even in her time. Meylin carefully picked up the artifact, turning it over in her hands. It was surprisingly light, and as she examined it more closely, she noticed faint markings etched into the metal, symbols that she could not understand, but that seemed to hum with an ancient power. She had heard tales of relics from the past, but this was something else. It was as if the object was both old and new, a bridge between her world and another far beyond her understanding. With a sense of wonder, Meylin placed the artifact in her satchel, determined to learn more about it later. She stood up, brushing dirt from her knees, and continued her journey, her senses heightened by the discovery. The forest was not just a place of natural beauty. It was a place where time itself seemed to bend and twist, where the past and future collided in strange and unexpected ways. As she walked, Meylin became more aware of the subtle changes in her surroundings. The trees here were older, their bark gnarled and twisted as if shaped by centuries of wind and weather. The ground beneath her feet grew softer, the air thicker with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. And then, just as she was beginning to feel the weight of the forest pressing in on her, she saw it, a flicker of movement out of the corner of her eye. Meylin froze, her hand instinctively going to the hilt of her sword. She scanned the area, her sharp eyes searching for the source of the movement, but the forest was still once more. For a moment, she wondered if she had imagined it, if her mind was playing tricks on her in this strange place. But then she saw it again, a flash of color among the trees, moving too quickly to be just a trick of the light. Her heart pounding in her chest, Meylin took a cautious step forward, her senses on high alert. Whatever it was not far away, and it was watching her just as intently as she was watching it. The mysterious sounds. The deeper Meylin ventured into the forest, the more she became aware of the peculiar sounds that surrounded her. They were faint at first, barely audible over the rustling of leaves and the occasional call of a bird. But as she moved forward, they grew louder, more distinct. It was as if the forest was whispering to her, its ancient voice carried on the wind. She stopped in her tracks, straining to listen. The sounds were unlike anything she had ever heard, soft melodic notes that seemed to dance on the air, mingling with the natural sounds of the forest. They were both enchanting and unsettling, filling her with a sense of wonder and unease. Meylin's warrior instincts kicked in, and she scanned her surroundings. Her eyes narrowed as she tried to pinpoint the source of the sounds. Her hand rested on the hilt of her sword, ready to draw it at a moment's notice. She knew she had to stay alert, even in a place as beautiful as this. Danger could be lurking just around the corner. The sounds seemed to be coming from all around her, echoing through the trees like the voices of spirits. Meylin's heart raced as she took another step forward, her senses heightened. Every rustle of leaves, every shift in the light, made her more aware of how alone she was in this vast, mystical place. But then, as she rounded a bend in the path, the sounds grew louder and more distinct. They weren't just random noises. They were playful, almost like laughter. Meylin froze, her breath catching in her throat. Laughter? In this place? She listened more closely, and there it was again, a light, tinkling sound that made her think of children playing. It was coming from somewhere ahead, just beyond a thick clump of bushes. Meylin hesitated, her mind racing with possibilities. Was someone else in the forest with her? Or was this some kind of trick? Her curiosity got the better of her, and she slowly approached the bushes, her heart pounding in her chest. As she pushed aside the branches, she found herself peering into a small clearing. And there, in the center of the clearing, was a sight that took her completely by surprise. A small, fluffy red panda was tumbling and rolling in the grass, completely absorbed in its playful antics. It looked so out of place in this ancient forest, yet at the same time, it seemed perfectly at home. The little creature was laughing, yes, laughing, as it flipped and tumbled, seemingly without a care in the world. For a moment, Meylin just stood there, stunned. She had never seen anything like this before. The panda's bright red fur stood out starkly against the green of the forest, and its playful demeanor was completely at odds with the mysterious and foreboding atmosphere that had surrounded her just moments ago. Then, as if sensing her presence, the panda suddenly stopped and looked up. Its eyes met Meylin's, and for a split second, they both froze, staring at each other in surprise. A playful encounter. Meylin couldn't help but smile at the sight of the panda. It was so small, so innocent, and yet there was something about it that made her feel a connection she couldn't quite explain. The panda tilted its head, its bright eyes sparkling with curiosity, and then, without warning, it leaped into action again.
Hey, wait!
Meylin called out, a laugh escaping her lips as the panda began to dart around the clearing, performing playful tricks and tumbling over itself in a display of pure joy. The panda's antics were clumsy, yet endearing, and Meylin found herself relaxing for the first time since she had entered the forest. She watched as the panda tried to balance on a fallen log, its paws slipping on the mossy surface before it jumped back into the grass, rolling over with a gleeful chirp.
You're quite the entertainer, aren't you?
Meylin said with a chuckle, stepping closer to the panda.
But what are you doing out here all alone?
The panda paused its play and looked up at Meylin, as if considering her question. Then, with a playful grin, it scampered over to a nearby tree and began to climb, its little paws gripping the bark with surprising agility. Meylin watched in amusement as the panda reached a low-hanging branch and perched itself there, striking a pose that was almost regal. For a moment, it looked like a majestic creature of the forest, its fur glowing in the dappled sunlight. But the moment didn't last. The panda misjudged its balance and tumbled off the branch, landing in a pile of leaves with a soft thud. It looked up at Meylin, its eyes wide with surprise, before breaking into a goofy grin that made her burst out laughing.
You really are full of surprises, aren't you?
Meylin said, crouching down to get a better look at the little creature.
I don't know where you came from, but you certainly know how to make an entrance.
The panda chirped in response, tilting its head to one side as if trying to understand her words. It was clear to Meylin that this was no ordinary animal. There was something almost human about its behavior, something that piqued her curiosity even further.
What should I call you?
Meylin mused aloud, reaching out cautiously. The panda sniffed her hand, then nuzzled it, making a soft, contented sound. Meylin laughed.
You're quite friendly, aren't you? How about Bao? Yes, I think Bao suits you perfectly.
Bao responded with a delighted chirp, as if approving of the name. Meylin's smile widened, feeling a warmth in her chest that she hadn't felt in a long time. It was a feeling of companionship, of finding something, or someone, unexpectedly special in a place where she had expected only danger and mystery. Suddenly, Bao leaped up and began to scurry around the clearing again, this time with a clear purpose. He darted towards a cluster of leaves, rustling through them until he uncovered what looked like a small, shiny object. He picked it up with his paws and presented it to Meylin, his eyes gleaming with excitement.
What's this?
Meylin asked, taking the object from Bao. It was a small, intricately carved stone with symbols that looked oddly familiar. As she turned it over in her hands, she realized it matched the artifact she had found earlier.
Where did you find this, Bao?
She asked, her voice filled with wonder. Bao responded by pointing with his paw towards a darker part of the forest, where the trees grew thicker and the light barely penetrated.
You want me to follow you, don't you?
Meylin said, already knowing the answer. Bao nodded enthusiastically, his eyes shining with an eagerness that was infectious.
All right.
Meylin agreed, standing up and tightening the strap of her satchel.
Let's see what other secrets this forest is hiding.
The path Bao led Meylin down was narrower than before, almost hidden by the overgrown foliage. It twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the heart of the forest, where the air was cooler and the sounds of the outside world were muffled. The further they went, the more Meylin felt like they were stepping into another world, a place untouched by time. As they walked, Meylin couldn't help but feel a growing sense of curiosity about her new companion.
Bao,
She began.
how did you end up here in this forest? You seem different, like you don't really belong here either.
Bao glanced up at her, his eyes full of an emotion Meylin couldn't quite place. Was it understanding? Regret? Whatever it was, it made her even more certain that there was more to Bao than met the eye. They continued in silence for a while, the only sounds being the soft crunch of leaves underfoot and the distant calls of unseen creatures. Finally, they emerged into another clearing, this one smaller and more enclosed by the thick trunks of ancient trees. In the center stood a large stone circle, similar to the one Meylin had seen earlier, but this one was intact, its surface covered in glowing symbols that pulsed gently with a soft light. Meylin gasped, her heart pounding in her chest as she approached the stone circle.
This is incredible.
She whispered, reaching out to touch one of the stones. The moment her fingers made contact, the symbols flared brightly, and she felt a strange sensation, as if the stone was alive, humming with a power older than anything she had ever known. Bao watched her intently, his playful demeanor subdued as he stood by her side. For a moment, they were both silent, lost in the wonder of the ancient monument.
Bao,
Meylin said softly.
what is this place? And why do I feel like it's calling to me?
Bao remained silent, but his eyes seemed to convey that he understood her confusion. He nudged her hand gently, as if to reassure her that they were on the right path, whatever it might lead to. Meylin took a deep breath, feeling a surge of determination.
I don't know what's going on here, but I have a feeling that finding out is going to be more than just an adventure. It's going to be something much bigger, isn't it?
Bao nodded, his eyes serious now. For the first time since they had met, Meylin saw a depth in him that she hadn't noticed before. This wasn't just a playful panda. Bao was a companion, a guide, and perhaps even a key to the mysteries of the forest.
All right, Bao.
Meylin said, her voice steady.
Let's find out what this place is trying to tell us.
As they stepped into the stone circle together, the light around them grew brighter, and Meylin felt a powerful connection to the ancient forces that had shaped this place. She knew then that her journey had only just begun, and that whatever lay ahead, she and Bao would face it together. With that thought, they walked deeper into the forest, ready to uncover the secrets that awaited them, and the bond between them grew stronger with every step. Chapter 2. A Gladiator's Journey. A Gladiator's Unexpected Journey. In this chapter, Marcus, a skilled gladiator from ancient Rome, is suddenly thrust into the mystical forest through a time vortex. Overwhelmed and disoriented by his new surroundings, Marcus tries to make sense of the vibrant and bizarre landscape. His encounter with Meylin and Bao introduces him to a world far beyond his understanding. Despite the confusion and initial tension, the three characters begin to form a bond, recognizing that their fates are intertwined. Through shared stories and a growing camaraderie, Marcus, Meylin, and Bao set the stage for their collective journey, each bringing their unique strengths and perspectives to the team. This chapter explores themes of disorientation, trust, and the merging of different worlds as the characters prepare to face the challenges ahead. A new world. The roar of the crowd still echoed in Marcus's ears as he felt himself falling through something that defied all logic. One moment, he was in the dusty, blood-soaked arena of Rome, battling for his life. The next, he was tumbling through a shimmering vortex, the very fabric of time and space bending around him. The sensation was disorienting, as if the world had been turned upside down and inside out.
What's happening?
Marcus thought, panic rising in his chest. He reached out, grasping at the air, but there was nothing solid to hold on to. The wind whipped past him, rushing in his ears as the colors around him blurred into a dizzying swirl. The gladiator gritted his teeth, bracing for the impact he knew was coming, though he had no idea where or when he would land. Suddenly, the world around him snapped into focus. Marcus fell hard onto something soft and yielding, his breath knocked out of him as he hit the ground. For a moment, he just lay there, dazed and gasping, trying to make sense of what had just happened. His fingers curled into the earth beneath him, soft, mossy, and unlike anything he had felt before. Slowly, Marcus pushed himself up, his muscles protesting after the unexpected fall. He looked around, eyes wide with shock. This was not Rome. The towering trees that surrounded him were ancient and majestic, their trunks covered in glowing moss that emitted a soft, ethereal light. Strange plants, unlike any he had ever seen, grew in abundance, their leaves shimmering with a luminescence that made the entire forest seem alive.
What is this place?
Marcus muttered to himself, still trying to catch his breath. He had been in many strange and dangerous places, but nothing like this. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and blooming flowers, a sharp contrast to the dry, acrid smells of the arena. Overhead, the canopy of leaves rustled in a breeze that Marcus couldn't feel, as if the forest was whispering secrets to itself. His first instinct was to reach for his sword. The familiar weight of the weapon in his hand gave him some comfort, though it felt small and insignificant in this strange, otherworldly place. Marcus took a deep breath, trying to steady his racing heart. He had faced many dangers in his life: wild animals, ruthless opponents, the wrath of Rome itself. But this was different. This was a threat he couldn't see or understand. Rising to his feet, Marcus turned in a slow circle, taking in his surroundings. Everywhere he looked, there were things that defied explanation. Plants that glowed with an inner light, small creatures that flitted through the air with wings like stained glass, and shadows that seemed to move on their own. It was both beautiful and terrifying, and for the first time in years, Marcus felt truly lost. He tried to call out, his deep voice booming through the trees, but the sounds of the forest swallowed his words, leaving only an eerie silence in their wake. Marcus's throat tightened in frustration. Where was he? How had he gotten here? And, most importantly, how was he supposed to get back? His thoughts were interrupted by a sudden rustling in the undergrowth nearby. Marcus tensed, his sword at the ready as he watched the leaves tremble. Something, or someone, was moving in the shadows, and it was getting closer. A strange encounter. Marcus's grip tightened on the hilt of his sword as he peered into the dense foliage, every muscle in his body poised for action. The rustling grew louder, and for a moment he caught a glimpse of something. Large leaves, shimmering as if they had been touched by a gentle breeze. But this was no ordinary breeze. The leaves seemed to pulse with life, emitting soft, musical notes that made Marcus's skin prickle with unease.
What kind of place is this?
He thought, his heart pounding in his chest. He had been trained to fight against men and beasts, but how could he combat something as intangible as the very air around him? As he edged closer, the shimmering leaves parted, revealing a small creature flitting between the branches. Marcus stared, his eyes wide with disbelief. The creature was unlike anything he had ever seen, a tiny being with wings that glowed like the colors of a sunset, its delicate form leaving trails of light as it moved. It darted away at the sight of him, disappearing into the shadows, leaving Marcus wondering if he had imagined the whole thing. But there was no time to dwell on it. From somewhere deeper in the forest, Marcus heard something else, a sound that was unmistakably human. It was faint, but it was there. Laughter.
Could there be others here?
Marcus whispered to himself, the sound of his own voice a small comfort in the unsettling quiet. Whoever they were, they might have answers. Answers he desperately needed. Moving with the stealth of a trained warrior, Marcus followed the sound, careful to avoid the strange plants and creatures that seemed to watch him from the shadows. The forest grew lighter as he moved, the trees thinning out to reveal a small clearing bathed in sunlight. And there, in the center of the clearing, was the source of the laughter, a young woman and a small, furry creature, both engaged in some kind of playful game. The sight was so unexpected, so out of place in the surreal environment, that Marcus stopped in his tracks, unsure of what to make of it. The woman, dressed in a style unfamiliar to Marcus, moved with a grace that spoke of discipline and training. Her long, dark hair flowed behind her as she laughed, her eyes bright with amusement. The creature, a red panda, Marcus realized, was tumbling and rolling in the grass, its antics bringing a rare smile to Marcus's face. For a moment, he just watched them, feeling like an intruder in their private world. But then the woman's gaze fell on him, and everything changed. A tense introduction. Meylin froze, her laughter fading as her eyes locked onto Marcus. In an instant, her hand went to the hilt of her weapon, drawing it with practiced speed. The red panda Bao stopped its playful antics and looked between the two humans, sensing the tension in the air.
Who are you?
Meylin demanded, her voice steady but filled with suspicion. She kept her sword raised, ready to defend herself if necessary. The man before her was unlike anyone she had ever seen, tall, powerfully built, with an air of danger that put her on edge. His clothing was strange, a mixture of armor and cloth, and his eyes held a wildness that spoke of battles fought and won. Marcus didn't move, his own sword still in hand but lowered. He could see the fear and determination in the woman's eyes, and he knew that a single wrong move could turn this into a fight neither of them wanted. Taking a deep breath, he spoke in the calmest voice he could muster.
My name is Marcus.
He said, his accent thick and unfamiliar to Meylin.
I'm not here to hurt you. I don't even know where I am.
Meylin narrowed her eyes, not lowering her guard.
What do you mean, you don't know where you are? How did you get here?
Marcus hesitated, unsure of how to explain. How could he tell her about the vortex, the feeling of being torn from his world and dropped into this strange place?
I was fighting.
He began, his voice rough with uncertainty.
In the arena in Rome. But then something happened. I was pulled through something, and ended up here.
Rome.
Meylin repeated, confusion flickering in her eyes.
I don't know of any place called Rome.
Before Marcus could respond, Bao chirped loudly, drawing both of their attention. The little panda had been watching the exchange with keen interest, and now he decided to intervene in his own way. With a playful leap, Bao jumped onto Meylin's shoulder, nudging her cheek with his nose in an attempt to diffuse the tension.
Bao, not now.
Meylin murmured, trying to keep her focus on Marcus. But the panda was persistent, his antics growing more exaggerated as he tried to distract her. Meylin couldn't help but smile at Bao's efforts, her grip on her weapon loosening just a bit. Marcus saw the change in her demeanor and seized the opportunity. He lowered his sword completely, holding his hands up in a gesture of peace.
I don't want to fight.
He said earnestly.
I'm just as lost as you are. Maybe we can help each other.
Meylin hesitated, her eyes searching Marcus's face for any sign of deceit. But all she saw was a mix of confusion and sincerity, a man clearly out of his element and looking for answers. She slowly lowered her weapon, though she kept it within easy reach. Bao chirped happily at this development, hopping down from Meylin's shoulder and waddling over to Marcus. The gladiator watched the little panda with a mixture of curiosity and amusement as Bao sniffed at his boots, then looked up at him with wide, expectant eyes.
I think he likes you,
Meylin said, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. Marcus chuckled, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly.
He's certainly a curious little creature,
he replied, kneeling down to get a better look at Bao.
I've never seen anything like him before.
Meylin sheathed her sword, deciding to trust Marcus, at least for the moment.
His name is Bao,
she explained.
He's full of surprises.
I can see that,
Marcus said, watching as Bao began to playfully tug at the straps of his sandals.
So what's your story? How did you end up in this place?
Meylin hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal to this stranger. But there was something about Marcus that made her feel she could trust him, at least for now.
My name is Meylin,
she began,
and I'm from a village far from here. I was on a journey when I found myself in this forest. I'm not entirely sure how I got here either.
Marcus nodded, his expression thoughtful.
It seems we've both been brought here for a reason,
he said, more to himself than to her.
But why?
Before they could ponder the question further, Bao suddenly chirped and ran off into the forest, his movements swift and purposeful. Meylin and Marcus exchanged a glance before following the little panda, curious to see where he was leading them. Hui Alliance. Bao led them to a small clearing not far from where they had met, where a large fallen log provided a natural seat. The panda hopped onto the log and looked expectantly at Meylin and Marcus, as if inviting them to join him. Meylin sat down first, followed by Marcus, who kept a cautious eye on the surrounding forest. The atmosphere was calmer now. The initial tension between them dissipated, but an underlying unease remained.
So what do we do now?
Marcus asked, breaking the silence. Meylin sighed, running a hand through her hair.
I don't know,
she admitted.
I've been wandering this forest, trying to make sense of it all, but the more I explore, the more I realize that this place is far beyond anything I've ever known.
Marcus nodded, understanding her frustration.
I've seen things here that I can't explain,
he said, his voice low.
Creatures, plants, even the air itself, it's all different. And then there's the matter of how I got here in the first place.
Meylin looked at him, her curiosity piqued.
You mentioned something about Rome earlier.
She said.
What is that? Where is that?
Rome is my home,
Marcus explained.
a city vast and powerful, the center of an empire. I was a gladiator there, a fighter in the arenas. But something happened during my last battle. I don't know how to explain it. One moment I was fighting for my life, and the next, I was here.
Meylin listened intently, her mind racing with possibilities.
That's incredible,
She said.
It sounds like you were pulled through time itself.
Time?
Marcus repeated, frowning.
What do you mean?
Before Meylin could respond, Bao suddenly hopped onto her lap, chirping loudly as if trying to get their attention. He then pointed toward a cluster of glowing plants nearby, his eyes wide and alert.
What is it, Bao?
Meylin asked, following the direction of his gaze. Marcus leaned forward, his expression serious.
I've seen these plants before.
He said.
They're not like the others. They seem to react to us, almost as if they're alive.
Meylin nodded.
I've noticed that too.
She said.
This whole forest feels alive in a way that I've never experienced. It's like it's trying to tell us something.
Bao chirped again, more urgently this time, as if confirming Meylin's suspicions. He then jumped down from her lap and began digging at the base of one of the plants, revealing a small, intricately carved stone. Meylin and Marcus exchanged a glance before leaning in to examine the stone. It was covered in symbols similar to those Meylin had seen earlier, and as they touched it, the symbols began to glow, emitting a soft, pulsing light.
What is this?
Marcus asked, his voice filled with awe.
I'm not sure,
Meylin admitted.
but it seems important, like it's part of something bigger.
Bao chirped in agreement, nudging the stone toward them as if urging them to take it. Meylin carefully picked it up, feeling the weight of its significance in her hand.
This is just the beginning.
She said quietly, looking up at Marcus.
I have a feeling that whatever brought us here, it's only the start of something much larger.
Marcus nodded, his expression resolute.
Then we need to find out what it is.
He said.
Together.
Meylin smiled, feeling a sense of camaraderie forming between them.
Agreed.
She said.
We'll face this mystery head-on, no matter what it throws at us.
With that, the three of them, Meylin, Marcus, and Bao, stood together in the clearing, ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. The bond between them had been forged in the fires of uncertainty, but it was strong, and it would carry them through the trials to come. As they set off into the forest once more, their footsteps in sync, they knew that they had found allies in each other. Unlikely allies, perhaps, but allies nonetheless. And in this strange, magical world, that might just be enough. Chapter 3. Secrets of the Past. Revelations at the Stone Circle. In this pivotal chapter, the trio of Meylin, Marcus, and Bao confront the secrets of their pasts and futures at the mystical Stone Circle. The revelation that Bao is a robotic panda from a distant future shocks Meylin and Marcus, challenging their perceptions and deepening the complexity of their mission. As they explore the advanced technology hidden within Bao, they begin to understand the broader implications of their quest to restore the balance of time. The chapter builds tension as the characters grapple with disbelief, confusion, and the necessity of trust. Ultimately, they unite under a common purpose, realizing that their combined strengths and Bao's futuristic abilities are crucial in their fight against the dark force threatening their world. Arrival at the Stone Circle. The air grew thicker with energy as Meylin, Marcus, and Bao approached the stone circle. The setting sun cast long shadows across the forest floor, the last rays of light filtering through the dense canopy of trees. The closer they got, the more the atmosphere changed. An almost tangible pulse seemed to emanate from the ancient stones, vibrating in the very air they breathed. Meylin's breath caught as they entered the clearing. The stone circle stood, tall and imposing, its massive stones arranged in a perfect ring, their surfaces etched with intricate carvings that glowed faintly in the dimming light. She had seen many wonders on her journey, but this was something else entirely. It was as if the stones themselves were alive, humming with a power that was ancient and unfathomable. Marcus, too, was captivated by the sight. As a gladiator, he had seen many things: temples, monuments, and the grandeur of Rome itself, but nothing compared to the mystical beauty of the stone circle. The air here was different, charged with an energy that made his skin tingle and his instincts flare. This place was old, older than anything he had ever encountered, and he could feel the weight of its history pressing down on him.
This place,
Meylin whispered, her voice filled with awe.
It's incredible.
Bao, who had been unusually quiet, shifted nervously beside her. His normally playful demeanor was subdued, his bright eyes darting around as if he were expecting something to happen. Meylin noticed his unease and frowned, her instincts telling her that something was not right. As they moved closer to the center of the circle, the carvings on the stones began to glow brighter, the light pulsing in time with the energy that filled the air. Meylin reached out to touch one of the stones, but Bao quickly stepped in front of her, blocking her path.
Wait,
Bao said, his voice uncharacteristically serious.
we need to be careful.
Meylin looked at him in surprise.
What do you mean? What's wrong, Bao?
Bao hesitated, his eyes flicking nervously between the stones and the two humans.
This place, it's not just a circle of stones. It's a focal point, a place where time and space converge. If we're not careful, we could trigger something we're not ready for.
Marcus, who had been studying the carvings with a frown, turned to Bao.
You seem to know a lot about this place, more than you've let on.
Bao's ears drooped slightly, and he shifted uncomfortably under Marcus's intense gaze.
There's something I need to tell you both.
He said quietly.
Something important.
Meylin and Marcus exchanged a glance, their curiosity piqued.
What is it, Bao?
Meylin asked, gently.
You can tell us.
For a moment, Bao looked as if he might retreat, but then he took a deep breath and nodded.
All right.
He said, his voice trembling slightly.
But first, we need to sit down. This might come as a shock.
The revelation. They gathered in the center of the stone circle, the glowing symbols casting an eerie light on their faces. Meylin and Marcus watched Bao closely, sensing that whatever he was about to reveal would change everything. Bao took a deep breath, his usually bright and mischievous eyes now filled with a mixture of anxiety and determination.
There's something you need to know about me.
He began.
I'm not like other creatures you've met. I'm not just a red panda.
Meylin frowned, her brow furrowing in confusion.
What do you mean, Bao? You've been with me since the beginning of this journey. You're my friend.
I am your friend.
Bao said quickly, his voice filled with emotion.
But there's more to me than what you see on the surface. You see, I'm not an ordinary red panda. I'm a robot.
The words hung in the air, heavy and incomprehensible. For a moment, neither Meylin nor Marcus spoke, their minds struggling to process what Bao had just said.
A robot?
Marcus repeated, his voice thick with disbelief.
What are you talking about?
Bao hesitated, then slowly extended one of his paws. The soft fur retracted, revealing a gleaming metallic surface beneath. Meylin gasped, her hand flying to her mouth as she stared at the metal limb, the reality of Bao's words sinking in.
I was created in a place far from here.
Bao explained, his voice barely above a whisper.
In a time that you can't even imagine. My purpose was to protect and serve, to ensure that the balance of time was maintained. But something went wrong, and I was sent here. To your time. To this place.
Meylin's mind raced, trying to reconcile the image of the playful, mischievous panda she had grown so fond of with the cold, mechanical reality of his true nature.
Bao, how is this possible? How can you be both?
Bao looked down at his metal paw, a hint of sadness in his eyes.
I don't know.
He admitted.
But I do know that I was sent here for a reason. My mission is to help restore the balance of time, to prevent the dark force from gaining control. And somehow, you and Marcus are a part of that mission.
Marcus, who had been silent, finally spoke.
This is unbelievable.
He said, his voice filled with awe.
I've seen many strange things in my life, but nothing like this. A creature like you. In my time, it would be considered magic.
It's not magic.
Bao said with a faint smile.
It's technology. Technology from a future far beyond anything you can imagine. But it's also more than that. It's about the connections we make, the bonds we form. That's why I need your help.
Meylin took a deep breath, her mind still reeling from the revelation.
Bao,
She said softly,
we're here for you. We'll help you with your mission, no matter what it takes.
Marcus nodded in agreement, though his eyes were still filled with uncertainty.
I don't fully understand this, but if what you're saying is true, then we're in this together. We'll do whatever it takes to stop the dark force.
Bao looked at them both, his heart swelling with gratitude.
Thank you.
He said, his voice thick with emotion.
Thank you both. I promise I won't let you down.
Understanding Bao's technology. The tension that had filled the air moments ago began to dissipate as the trio sat in the center of the stone circle, the glowing symbols around them casting an otherworldly light. Meylin and Marcus exchanged glances, their initial shock giving way to curiosity.
So, Bao,
Marcus began, his tone more measured now.
if you're from the future, then what kind of technology are you made of? What can you do that other creatures can't?
Bao hesitated for a moment, then nodded, deciding that it was time to reveal more.
I'm equipped with a range of abilities that are designed to help me fulfill my mission.
He explained.
Some of them are, well, they might seem strange to you.
Strange?
Meylin asked, her interest piqued.
What do you mean?
Bao extended his paw again, the metal gleaming in the fading light.
Let me show you.
He said. With a subtle movement, his paw began to shift, the metallic components rearranging themselves until a small, round device emerged. Bao pressed a button on the device, and a holographic image appeared in the air before them. Meylin and Marcus gasped in unison as the image took shape, a scene from a time-long past. It was like looking through a window into another world, a world where warriors clad in strange armor fought with weapons that glowed with energy. The image shifted, showing vast cities filled with towering structures and vehicles that moved through the air without wings.
This is what the future looks like.
Bao said quietly.
It's a world where technology has advanced far beyond what you know. But with that advancement comes great responsibility. The balance of time is fragile, and if it's disturbed, it could lead to the collapse of everything.
Meylin stared at the hologram, her mind struggling to grasp the implications of what she was seeing.
So, this is why you're here,
She murmured.
to protect that balance, to make sure that the future and the past are preserved.
Exactly.
Bao confirmed, his voice solemn.
But it's not just about preserving the timeline. It's about ensuring that the future we create is one that's worth living in. The dark force that we're up against, if it succeeds, it could unravel everything. Past, present, and future.
Meylin's mind was spinning with the enormity of what Bao was saying. This wasn't just a mission to protect her homeland. It was about protecting time itself. She glanced at Marcus, who seemed equally overwhelmed, but resolute.
So what else can you do, Bao?
Marcus asked, his curiosity overcoming his initial wariness.
If you've got technology from the future, we're going to need every advantage we can get.
Bao nodded, his expression serious.
I can communicate across time, send messages to other points in history, and even create time portals in certain conditions. But these abilities drain my energy, so I have to use them wisely.
Meylin's eyes widened.
Time portals? You mean you can take us to different points in history?
In theory, yes,
Bao replied.
but it's risky. Time travel is dangerous, and there are rules that must be followed. Even the smallest change in the past can have enormous consequences in the future.
Marcus leaned forward, his interest clearly piqued.
And the dark force, what exactly is it? What does it want?
Bao hesitated, the glow from the symbols reflecting in his eyes.
The dark force is... It's hard to explain. It's a being, but it's also an idea, a manifestation of chaos and destruction. It seeks to control time, to bend it to its will. If it succeeds, it could rewrite history in its image, erasing everything that stands in its way.
Meylin felt a chill run down her spine.
That's why we have to stop it.
She said, her voice firm.
We have to protect the balance, no matter what.
Agreed.
Marcus said, his jaw set with determination.
But we can't do it alone. We'll need allies, resources, anything that can help us.
Bao nodded, his resolve strengthening as he looked at his two companions.
I'll do everything I can to help. My technology is powerful, but it's not enough on its own. We'll need to work together, to combine our strengths and overcome our weaknesses.
Meylin and Marcus exchanged a glance, a silent agreement passing between them. Despite their differences, despite the strangeness of their situation, they knew that they were stronger together than apart. Gaiting's arrival and the plan. As the last light of the day faded, casting long shadows across the stone circle, the trio was joined by a familiar figure. Gaiting stepped out from the trees, his presence as serene and commanding as ever. The ancient symbols around them seemed to respond to his arrival, glowing brighter in recognition.
Gaiting.
Meylin greeted him with a respectful nod.
We were just discussing our next steps.
Gaiting's eyes took in the scene before him, from the glowing symbols to the solemn expressions on the faces of the three companions.
I sensed a great disturbance in the flow of time.
He said, his voice calm but serious.
I knew I needed to find you. The path ahead will not be easy,
He said.
but it is a path that you must walk. The balance of time is delicate, and it is in greater danger now than ever before.
He moved closer to the stone that Meylin and Marcus had been examining earlier.
This circle
Gaiting continued.
was built long ago by those who understood the flow of time. It's a place of power, a place where the past, present, and future converge. That is why you were drawn here, Bao, and that is why you, Meylin and Marcus, must protect this place.
Meylin stepped forward, her eyes filled with determination.
We're ready to do whatever it takes, Gaiting, but we need to know more about the Dark Force and how Bao's technology can help us stop it.
Gaiting's expression grew somber.
The dark force is a being born of chaos, but it is also a force of nature, a force that seeks to disrupt the natural order of things. It has the power to corrupt, to twist time to its will. If left unchecked, it will erase entire histories, rewrite the present, and shape the future in its own dark image.
Marcus clenched his fists, his warrior instincts flaring at the thought of such destruction.
So how do we stop it?
Gaiting turned to Bao, his eyes filled with a deep understanding.
Bao's technology is the key.
He said. It was designed to protect the flow of time, to safeguard against forces like this. But it will take more than just technology to succeed. It will take trust, cooperation, and the willingness to face your fears. Meylin nodded, her resolve hardening.
We're ready, Gaiting. Tell us what we need to do.
Gaiting's gaze swept over the three of them, a hint of pride in his eyes.
You must seek out the lost artifact, a relic that holds the power to restore balance. It was hidden long ago, protected by those who understood its importance. But now the dark force seeks to claim it for itself. You must find it before it does.
Bao looked up at Gaiting, determination in his mechanical eyes.
We'll find it,
He said firmly.
and we'll stop the dark force, no matter what it takes.
Gaiting smiled softly, a rare expression of warmth.
I believe in you,
He said.
all of you. But remember, this journey will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine. You will face challenges that will push you to your limits. But if you stand together, if you trust in each other, you will succeed.
Meylin, Marcus, and Bao nodded in unison, their expressions resolute. They had come a long way from the initial confusion and fear that had marked their first meeting. Now they were united by a common purpose, a shared goal that transcended time itself. Gaiting turned to the stone circle once more, his expression thoughtful.
The symbols here
He said,
are a map of sorts. They will guide you to the locations where the artifact may be found. But be careful. The dark force is always watching, always searching. You must stay one step ahead.
Meylin stepped forward, her hand resting on the hilt of her sword.
We won't let it win.
She said firmly.
We'll find the artifact and restore the balance of time, together.
Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder, his strength and resolve evident in his touch.
Together.
He echoed. Bao looked at his companions, a sense of belonging filling him. For the first time since he had been sent to this time, he felt truly at home.
We'll do this.
He said, his voice filled with confidence.
We'll save the future and the past.
With their mission clear and their hearts united, the three companions stood together in the fading light, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. The stone circle pulsed with energy, as if acknowledging their resolve, and the symbols around them glowed brighter than ever. As they set off into the twilight, their path illuminated by the glowing stones, they knew that the journey ahead would be difficult, but they also knew that they were not alone. Together, they would face the darkness, and together, they would restore the balance of time. Chapter 4. Guided by Wisdom, Confronting Bao's Truth. In the last chapter, the team uncovered Bao's true identity as a robotic panda from a distant future, shocking both Meylin and Marcus. The revelation at the stone circle changed their perception of their mission and deepened their understanding of the dangers ahead. As Bao demonstrated his advanced technology, including holographic images and time portals, the trio began to grasp the full extent of their quest to restore balance to time. With Gaiting's arrival, they learned about the dark force's intent to manipulate time, setting the stage for a strategic plan to find the lost artifact. United by their shared purpose, they vowed to work together to prevent the dark force from succeeding. A mentor emerges. The ancient temple loomed before them, its weathered stones bathed in the warm glow of flickering candlelight. As they stepped inside, the air grew thick with the scent of incense, and the soft echoes of their footsteps reverberated through the vast, dimly lit chamber. The weight of centuries seemed to press down on them, filling the space with an aura of solemnity and wisdom. Meylin, Marcus, and Bao walked cautiously toward the center of the temple, their eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation, each of them aware that they were about to meet someone who could change the course of their journey. The energy of the temple pulsed around them, as if the very stones were alive with ancient magic. As they approached the altar, a figure emerged from the shadows, his presence commanding and serene. Gaiting, their mentor and guide, stepped forward with a grace that belied his years. His robes flowed like liquid silk as he moved, and his eyes, deep and wise, seemed to hold the knowledge of countless lifetimes. The flickering candlelight danced across an face, highlighting the lines etched by time and experience. Meylin felt a shiver of awe as she looked at Gaiting, sensing the depth of his understanding and the strength of his character. This was a man who had seen the rise and fall of civilizations, who had walked through the annals of history and emerged with the wisdom of ages. She knew without a doubt that they were in the presence of greatness.
Welcome.
Gaiting said, his voice as calm as a still pond.
I have been expecting you.
Meylin, Marcus, and Bao exchanged glances, each of them feeling a mixture of reverence and curiosity. They had been through so much already, facing dangers they had never imagined, uncovering secrets that had shaken their very foundations, and now they were about to embark on a new chapter of their journey, guided by this enigmatic figure. Gaiting approached the altar, where ancient scrolls were spread out across the stone surface. The scrolls were covered in intricate symbols, their meanings hidden in the depths of history. With a gesture, Gaiting invited them to join him, and they gathered around, their eyes fixed on the ancient texts.
These scrolls contain knowledge that has been passed down through generations.
Gaiting explained, his voice steady and sure.
They speak of time, of the balance that must be maintained, and of the dangers that arise when that balance is disrupted. I have studied these texts for many years, and now I will share their wisdom with you.
Meylin leaned in closer, her heart pounding with anticipation. This was what they had been searching for: answers, guidance, a way to understand the challenges they faced. She knew that Gaiting's knowledge would be the key to unlocking the mysteries of their mission. Gaiting began to speak, his words weaving a tapestry of history and legend. He spoke of the flow of time, how it moved like a river, shaping the world around it. He explained how the dark force sought to manipulate that flow, to bend it to its will and reshape reality in its own image. And he told them of the lost artifact, a relic of immense power that could restore balance and prevent the dark force from achieving its goals. As Gaiting spoke, The flickering candles cast long shadows on the walls, their light creating a dance of illumination and darkness that seemed to mirror the struggle between good and evil. Meylin, Marcus, and Bao listened intently, their minds absorbing every word, every detail, as they began to grasp the enormity of their task. The knowledge that Gaiting shared was both enlightening and sobering. They had known that their mission was important, but now they understood just how high the stakes were. The future of time itself was in their hands, and they would need to use every bit of wisdom, strength, and courage they possessed to succeed. The Dark Force Unveiled. As Gaiting's voice filled the temple with the weight of ancient knowledge, the atmosphere grew heavier, charged with the tension of impending danger. The trio could feel the gravity of the words that hung in the air, each syllable a reminder of the darkness they were up against.
The dark force
Gaiting began, his tone solemn.
is not just a being, it is an embodiment of chaos, a force that seeks to undo the very fabric of time. It has existed for as long as time itself, lurking in the shadows, waiting for moments of weakness to strike.
He paused, letting his words sink in before continuing.
In my era, the dark force disrupted the flow of time, causing a fracture that nearly tore reality apart. It twisted events, reshaped history, and created a world where nothing was as it should be. I was there, in the heart of that chaos, and I fought to restore the balance. But the force was too strong, and I was forced to retreat, to seek out others who could help me fight back.
Meylin's heart tightened at the thought of such devastation. She had always been a protector, but the scale of what Gaiting described was beyond anything she had ever faced.
How can we stop it?
She asked, her voice tinged with determination.
How can we protect our timelines?
Gaiting's eyes softened as he looked at her, seeing the resolve in her gaze.
The key to defeating the dark force lies in unity,
He said.
It thrives on division, on fear and uncertainty. But when we stand together, when we combine our strengths and work as one, we can overcome even the greatest of challenges.
Marcus clenched his fists, his warrior spirit ignited by Gaiting's words.
Then we'll fight it.
He declared, his voice filled with resolve.
We'll face it head on and make sure it doesn't succeed.
Bao, who had been listening intently, chimed in with a chirp of agreement.
And with my technology, we have an advantage. We can stay one step ahead, anticipate its moves, and counter them before it can do any real damage.
Gaiting nodded, a faint smile playing on his lips.
You are right, Bao. Your abilities are crucial to our success. But remember, technology alone will not be enough. It is your hearts, your minds, and your spirits that will make the difference.
The shadows in the temple seemed to deepen as Gaiting spoke, as if the darkness itself was listening to their conversation. The flickering candles cast eerie shapes on the walls, their light struggling to push back the encroaching gloom.
But do not fear.
Gaiting continued, his voice a beacon of hope in the gathering darkness.
The dark force may be powerful, but it is not invincible. It can be stopped, and it will be stopped by you.
Meylin felt a surge of determination course through her veins. This was their fight, their mission, and she knew that they would not fail.
We won't let it win.
She vowed, her voice firm and resolute.
We'll do whatever it takes to protect the balance of time.
Marcus and Bao echoed her sentiments, their expressions mirroring her resolve. The three of them were united by a common purpose, their bond strengthened by the knowledge they had gained, and the challenges they had faced together. Gaiting's smile widened as he looked at them, his eyes filled with pride.
I believe in you and
He said,
all of you. You have the strength, the courage, and the wisdom to succeed, and I will be with you every step of the way.
The trio nodded in unison, their hearts filled with a renewed sense of purpose. They knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but they also knew that they were not alone. With Gaiting's guidance, they would find the lost artifact, restore the balance of time, and defeat the dark force once and for all. Crafting the plan. With the knowledge imparted by Gaiting still fresh in their minds, the trio gathered around the altar, ready to strategize their next move. The ancient map spread out before them was illuminated by the soft glow of the temple candles, the flickering light casting an aura of mystery and possibility over the parchment. Gaiting traced a finger over the map, his touch gentle but purposeful.
This map
He explained,
shows the locations where the artifact might be hidden. It was created by those who understood the flow of time, who knew the importance of keeping the artifact safe from those who would misuse its power.
Marcus studied the map with a warrior's eye, his mind already calculating the best approach.
We should go directly to the closest location.
He suggested.
Strike fast and hard before the dark force has a chance to react.
Gaiting shook his head, his expression thoughtful.
A direct approach may seem appealing, but it could be exactly what the dark force expects. It thrives on chaos and conflict. We must be strategic, think several steps ahead. Remember, the dark force can manipulate time. It could be setting traps in the places where we are most likely to go.
Meylin nodded, understanding the wisdom in Gaiting's words.
We need to be cautious, but we also need to move quickly. The longer we wait, the more power the dark force could gain.
Bao, who had been quietly observing the map, suddenly perked up. His eyes glowed softly as he activated his advanced sensors, scanning the map for hidden details.
There are potential traps and anomalies in these locations.
He said, pointing out areas where the lines on the map seemed to blur or shift slightly.
We should avoid those areas or be prepared to deal with whatever surprises might be waiting for us.
Gaiting smiled at Bao's insight.
Your technology will be invaluable on this journey, Bao. But we must also rely on our instincts and knowledge of the past. This temple, for example, is more than just a structure. It holds the memories of those who built it. If we listen carefully, we might hear their guidance.
Meylin traced a finger along one of the paths on the map, a route that led through dense forest and over a steep mountain range.
This path looks difficult, but it's the least likely to be guarded by the dark force.
She suggested.
If we take this route, we can approach the artifact from an unexpected angle.
Marcus considered her words, then nodded in agreement.
It might take longer, but it's a safer approach. We can use the terrain to our advantage.
Bao looked at both of them, his usual playful demeanor replaced by a rare seriousness.
I'll be able to detect any disruptions in the flow of time as we move. If the dark force tries to manipulate the environment or set traps, I'll alert you immediately.
Gaiting's gaze swept over the trio, his expression one of quiet pride.
You have all shown great wisdom and courage. This plan will require patience, trust, and adaptability, qualities that you each possess. Together, you will overcome the challenges ahead.
With their strategy in place, the team felt a renewed sense of purpose. The ancient temple, with its echoes of the past, had become a place of unity and resolve. They knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger, but they also knew that they were stronger together than they had ever been alone. The final preparations. As the team finalized their plans, The atmosphere in the temple shifted from one of contemplation to one of readiness. The glow of the candles seemed to intensify, as if the ancient spirits within the temple were offering their blessing for the journey ahead. Gaiting stepped forward, holding out his hands over the altar. From the shadows, he produced 3 small objects, each glowing faintly with a soft, ethereal light.
These are tokens of protection.
He explained, handing one to each of them.
They are imbued with the ancient magic of this temple, and they will protect you from the dark force's influence. Keep them close, and they will guide you in times of need.
Meylin accepted the token with a deep sense of reverence. It was a small, intricately carved stone, cool to the touch but pulsing with a gentle warmth. She felt a surge of strength as she held it, as if the stone itself was lending her courage.
Thank you, Gaiting.
She said, her voice filled with gratitude.
We won't let you down.
Marcus took his token, a rough-hewn crystal that fit perfectly in the palm of his hand. He could feel its power resonating with his own, a steady presence that calmed his warrior's heart.
We'll fight with everything we've got.
He promised, his voice firm and unwavering.
This dark force won't know what hit it.
Bao looked at his token, a small metallic disc engraved with symbols that seemed to shift and change as he held it.
This is amazing.
He said, his eyes wide with wonder.
I'll make sure it's put to good use.
Gaiting smiled, a rare expression of warmth and pride.
I have no doubt that you will.
He said.
Each of you brings something unique to this journey, and it is that diversity of strengths that will lead you to victory.
As they stood together at the entrance of the temple, the weight of the moment settled over them. They had come a long way from where they started, each of them changed by the challenges they had faced. And yet, they knew that the true test was still to come. Meylin looked out at the forest beyond, the trees swaying gently in the night breeze.
This is it.
She said softly.
This is where our journey really begins.
Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder, his touch solid and reassuring.
We'll get through this together,
He said.
no matter what.
Bao chirped in agreement, his eyes sparkling with excitement.
And I'll be right there with you, every step of the way.
Gaiting watched them with a serene expression, his hands folded in front of him.
Let's go now.
He said, his voice filled with quiet strength.
The path ahead will be difficult, but I have faith in all of you. Remember what you have learned, trust in each other, and you will succeed.
With a final nod of determination, the trio turned and walked out of the temple, the ancient stones watching over them as they disappeared into the forest. The night was quiet, the air cool and crisp as they began their journey. But as they moved deeper into the woods, the sense of unity and purpose that had filled them in the temple remained strong. They were no longer just individuals on a quest. They were a team, bound together by a common goal and a shared destiny. The challenges ahead were daunting, but with each step they took, they knew they were moving closer to their goal. The lost artifact awaited them, somewhere out there in the vast, mystical forest. And with it, the key to restoring balance and defeating the dark force. As they ventured into the unknown, their hearts were filled with a quiet determination. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, guided by the wisdom they had gained and the strength they had found in each other. Chapter 5. The Call to Adventure. Into the Depths of the Mystical Forest. Meylin, Bao, Marcus, and Gaiting embark on their perilous quest to find the lost artifact within the heart of the mystical forest. As they navigate the dense woods, the group encounters various challenges that test their unity and resolve. Bao's advanced technology malfunctions, creating chaos and forcing the team to adapt quickly to the unpredictable dangers of their journey. Meylin begins to hone her leadership skills, guiding her companions through both physical and emotional trials. Along the way, the group strengthens their bond by sharing stories of their pasts, deepening their understanding of each other. This chapter sets the stage for the escalating tension and the deepening relationships that will define their adventure. Into the heart of the forest. The sun had barely risen, casting the first golden rays of light. Through the dense canopy of the mystical forest, the trees towered above, their ancient trunks covered in thick veins and moss, giving the impression that they had been standing for millennia. The air was thick with the scent of earth and foliage, and the sounds of rustling leaves and distant animal calls created an ambiance that was both serene and unsettling. Meylin took the lead as the group entered the forest, her senses on high alert. The weight of the mission ahead was heavy on her shoulders, but she knew she had to stay focused. Her eyes scanned the path before them, noting the way the forest seemed to shift and change as they moved deeper into its depths. The ground was soft beneath their feet, the earth giving slightly with each step, as if the forest itself was alive and breathing.
We need to stay sharp.
Meylin said, her voice firm as she addressed the group.
The forest is beautiful, but it's also full of dangers. We can't afford to let our guard down.
Bao, ever the playful one, zipped ahead, his small paws moving quickly over the uneven terrain.
Don't worry, Meylin. I've got this.
He chirped, pulling out a small gadget from one of his hidden compartments. With a press of a button, the gadget emitted a burst of colorful lights, illuminating the path ahead with a vibrant glow. Meylin couldn't help but smile at Bao's antics, even as she shook her head in amusement.
Just be careful, Bao. We don't know what's out there.
Marcus, walking behind them, took in the surroundings with a mixture of awe and caution.
This place is like nothing I've ever seen.
He remarked, his voice filled with wonder.
It's like the forest is a blend of the ancient and the futuristic. Look at those trees. There's something almost mechanical about them.
He wasn't wrong. The forest was a strange mix of the old and the new. The trees, while ancient, had subtle metallic glints hidden beneath their bark, and the foliage seemed to shimmer with a faint, otherworldly light. The forest creatures they occasionally glimpsed were equally unusual. Some looked like they belonged in a fairy tale, while others had a distinctly robotic appearance. Gaiting, ever the observer, walked with a quiet grace, his eyes taking in every detail.
This forest is a place where time and nature intertwine.
He explained, his voice calm and measured.
It's a reflection of the balance we must restore, a reminder that the past and future are always connected.
As they ventured deeper into the forest, the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Meylin could sense the presence of the forest's inhabitants, hidden in the shadows, their eyes following the group's every move. The forest was alive with energy, and it was clear that they were not alone. Despite the unease that settled over them, the group pressed on, determined to reach their destination. The path before them was winding and uncertain, but with Meylin leading the way, they felt a sense of purpose and unity. Technology's trial. The peaceful atmosphere of the forest was abruptly shattered as Bao's playful exploration led to an unexpected complication. As he bounded ahead, his curiosity got the better of him, and he activated a small, round device that he had been carrying. The gadget whirred to life, emitting a low hum that quickly grew in intensity. Before anyone could react, The device unleashed a swirling vortex of energy, creating a time-warping field around them. The air crackled with the electricity, and the ground beneath their feet began to shift and pulse, as if the fabric of reality itself was being twisted.
Bao, what did you do?
Meylin shouted, her voice barely audible over the roaring energy.
I didn't mean to.
Bao stammered, panic evident in his usually cheerful voice.
I thought it was just a light show. I didn't know it would do this.
The swirling energy disrupted the forest around them, causing the nearby creatures to scatter in fear. Trees bent and warped under the strain, and the sky above seemed to ripple like water. The peaceful forest had suddenly become a chaotic storm of distorted time and space. Marcus, ever the warrior, instinctively drew his weapon, ready to defend the group from whatever threats might emerge from the chaos. His muscles tensed as he scanned the surroundings, his senses heightened by the adrenaline pumping through his knee. Gurtki number Mao, Bayais, Buri Turtidwer. Nakursay.
We need to shut it down.
Gaiting called out, his voice calm despite the turmoil around them.
Bao, focus. You're the only one who can stop this.
Bao fumbled with the gadget, his paws trembling as he tried to reverse the effects.
I'm trying.
He cried, his eyes wide with fear.
But the controls are all scrambled. I can't find the off switch. Meylin's heart raced as she watched the forest around them deteriorate. The trees were beginning to splinter, and the air was thick with the scent of burning wood and metal. If they didn't stop the vortex soon, the entire forest could be consumed by the chaos.
Bao, you can do this!
Meylin urged, her voice steady despite the panic rising in her chest.
Take a deep breath and focus. You've got us out of tough spots before. You can do it again.
Bao took a shaky breath, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He closed his eyes for a moment, blocking out the chaos around him, and focused on the gadget in his paws. With a determined look, he began to manipulate the controls, his movements becoming more confident as he worked. The vortex's energy began to stabilize, the swirling chaos slowly receding as Bao regained control. The air grew calmer, the ripples in the sky faded, and the forest began to return to its natural state. The creatures that had fled moments earlier cautiously returned, their eyes still wary but no longer filled with terror. Finally, with a last flick of his paw, Bao managed to deactivate the device. The vortex vanished, leaving only a few lingering sparks of energy in its wake. The forest was still once more, though the damage to the surrounding area was evident. Meylin let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding, relief flooding through her.
Bao, you did it!
She said, her voice filled with admiration.
I knew you could.
Bao looked up at her, a mix of pride and guilt in his eyes.
I'm sorry.
He said quietly.
I didn't mean to cause so much trouble.
Gaiting stepped forward, placing a comforting hand on Bao's shoulder.
You did well, Bao.
He said gently.
We all make mistakes. What matters is how we handle them, and you handled this one admirably.
Marcus sheathed his weapon, the tension in his muscles slowly easing.
Let's just make sure we're more careful from now on.
He said, his tone gruff but not unkind.
We can't afford to let things spiral out of control again.
The group took a moment to regroup, the adrenaline of the near disaster still coursing through their veins. They knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges, but this experience had shown them the sorry nature, parasiturburbri, osorverini, or osorburbrishi shiro. Warispain, Sarparin. One of the most unexpected operas were The Rise of a Leader. After the chaos had subsided, the group found themselves in a small clearing, the sunlight filtering through the canopy above. The air was still, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of energy that had threatened to tear the forest apart just moments before. Meylin took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her responsibilities settle on her shoulders once more. The experience with Bao's gadget had shaken them all, but it had also reinforced the importance of their mission. They needed to stay focused, united, and ready for anything.
All right, everyone.
Meylin began, her voice calm and steady as she gathered the group around her.
We've had our first taste of the challenges this forest has to offer, and it won't be the last, but we can't let it deter us. We have a mission to complete, and we need to be prepared for whatever comes our way.
She looked at each of them in turn, her gaze filled with determination.
Marcus, you're our protector. Your combat skills are going to be invaluable as we move deeper into the forest. I need you to be ready to defend us at a moment's notice.
Marcus nodded, his expression serious.
You can count on me, Meylin. I won't let anything get past us.
Master Gaiting,
Meylin continued, turning to their mentor.
Your wisdom and knowledge of the ancient ways will guide us through the challenges ahead. We'll need your insight to navigate the dangers and uncover the secrets of the forest.
Gaiting inclined his head slightly, his expression calm.
I will do my best to ensure we stay on the right path, Meylin, but remember, the greatest wisdom comes from within. Trust your instincts. They have served you well so far.
Finally, Meylin looked at Bao, who was still recovering from the earlier incident.
Bao, your technology is a powerful tool, but it's also something we need to be careful with. Your gadgets can give us an edge, but only if we use them wisely. I trust you to make that call.
Bao nodded, determination returning to his eyes.
I'll be more careful, Meylin. I promise.
With everyone clear on their roles, Meylin felt a renewed sense of confidence. This was her team, each of them with their unique strengths and skills. Together, they could overcome anything.
We need to stay united,
Meylin said, her voice firm.
If we work together and trust each other, there's nothing we can't accomplish. We're in this together, and we'll see it through to the end.
The group murmured their agreement, and a sense of camaraderie settled over them. They were more than just a group of individuals. They were a team, bound by a common purpose and a shared determination to succeed. As the sun filtered through the leaves, casting warm light over the clearing, Meylin took a deep breath and looked at the paths before them. The forest was vast, and the way ahead was uncertain, but she knew they were ready.
We'll take the path to the east,
Meylin decided, pointing toward a narrow trail that wound through the trees.
It's the most direct route, but also the most challenging. If we stay focused and work together, we can handle whatever comes our way.
With that, the group set off once more, their spirits lifted by the sense of unity and purpose that had grown among them. Meylin led the way, her confidence bolstered by the trust her friends had placed in her. She knew that the journey ahead would be difficult, but she also knew that they were stronger together than they had ever been alone. Stories and strength. As the group walked along the winding path, the forest seemed to close in around them, the trees growing denser and the undergrowth thicker. The atmosphere was charged with a sense of anticipation, as if the forest itself was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. To pass the time and ease the tension, Marcus began to share stories from his past. His voice, deep and resonant, carried through the forest as he recounted tales of his days as a gladiator in ancient Rome.
I was trained to fight from a young age.
Marcus said, his tone thoughtful as he reflected on his past.
The arena was my home and battle was all I knew. But it wasn't just about survival, it was about honor, about proving myself. Every fight was a test, not just of strength, but of will.
Meylin listened intently, fascinated by Marcus's stories. She had always been a warrior at heart, but her battles had been different, fought with purpose, to protect her home and her people. Hearing Marcus speak, she gained a new understanding of the life he had led and the challenges he had faced.
Did you ever doubt yourself?
Meylin asked, her voice soft.
Did you ever question why you fought?
Marcus paused, considering her question.
There were times when I wondered if it was all worth it.
He admitted.
Times when I questioned whether the bloodshed and violence were really what I wanted, but in the end, it was the only life I knew. It wasn't until I met you and Bao that I realized there could be more, that there could be a higher purpose to fighting.
Bao, ever the optimist, chimed in with a cheerful comment.
And now, you're fighting for something much bigger than yourself. You're fighting to save time itself, and with me on your side, you've got the best tech in the world to help you do it.
The group laughed, the tension easing as Bao's playful nature lightened the mood. Even in the midst of danger, Bao's presence was a reminder that there was still joy to be found, even in the darkest of times. As they continued walking, Meylin shared her own stories, tales of her upbringing in a small village, of the lessons she had learned from her parents and elders, and of the battles she had fought to protect her homeland.
My father always told me that strength comes from the heart,
Meylin said, her voice filled with pride.
He taught me that true warriors fight not for glory but for those they love. It's a lesson I've carried with me every day, and it's what drives me now to protect the ones I care about and to restore balance to the world.
Gaiting, who had been listening quietly, nodded in approval.
Your father was a wise man, Meylin. Strength of heart is the greatest strength of all. It is what will see us through the trials ahead.
The group walked in companionable silence for a while, each lost in their own thoughts. The path ahead was uncertain, but their shared stories and experiences had brought them closer together, reinforcing the bond that had formed between them. Finally, Gaiting spoke, his voice soft but filled with conviction.
Remember this, all of you. Our pasts have shaped us, but it is our choices in the present that define us. We each bring something unique to this journey, and it is that diversity of experience and strength that will see us through.
As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, the group reached the edge of a deep ravine. The path they had been following ended abruptly, and the only way forward was across a narrow bridge that spanned the chasm. Meylin stepped forward, her gaze steady as she looked at the bridge. It was old and rickety, the wood creaking ominously under the weight of the wind. But there was no other way forward.
This is it,
she said, her voice firm.
We cross this bridge and we move forward, together.
Marcus, Gaiting, and Bao nodded in agreement, their resolve unwavering. They knew that the challenges ahead would only grow more difficult, but they were ready to face them, united in purpose, strengthened by their shared stories, and guided by the wisdom they had gained. With Meylin leading the way, the group stepped onto the bridge, their footsteps steady and sure. The forest loomed around them, watching, waiting, but they were not afraid. They were a team, and they were ready for whatever lay ahead. Chapter 6. A Dark Encounter. Ambush in the Shadows. In this thrilling chapter, Meylin, Marcus, Bao, and Gaiting face their first direct encounter with the dark force. As they navigate through a shadowy path in the mystical forest, an ambush catches them off guard, revealing the lurking dangers of their mission. Marcus steps up, showcasing his combat prowess as a gladiator, while Gaiting's wisdom helps the team confront their fears and insecurities. Through a harrowing battle and an emotional regrouping, the team solidifies their bond and prepares for the challenges ahead. The intensity of the ambush serves as a wake-up call, reminding them that they must rely on their strengths and unity to succeed in their quest to restore the balance of time. Their resolve is stronger than ever as they prepare for the inevitable clash with the dark force. Shadows of the forest. The forest had changed. What was once a mystical landscape of towering trees and soft, glowing foliage had transformed into a labyrinth of shadows and whispered threats. The sunlight, which had earlier filtered through the canopy in golden beams, was now choked by the dense branches above, casting the path in an ominous twilight. The air was thick, oppressive, and filled with an unsettling silence that pressed in on Meylin, Marcus, Bao, and Gaiting as they cautiously moved forward. Meylin led the way, her hand hovering near the hilt of her sword. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of the ancient trees set her nerves on edge. She glanced back at her companions, noting the tension in their stances. Marcus, ever vigilant, kept his eyes trained on the surrounding forest, ready to spring into action at the slightest provocation. Bao, normally full of playful energy, was unusually quiet, his small form moving carefully through the underbrush. Even Gaiting, typically calm and composed, wore a look of deep concern, his eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of danger.
This place feels different.
Bao whispered, his voice barely audible over the sound of their footsteps.
Like something is watching us?
Meylin nodded, her eyes narrowing as she tried to pierce the gloom.
Stay close,
She murmured.
we don't know what's out there.
As they continued along the narrow, shadowy path, the trees seemed to close in around them, their twisted branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The once beautiful forest had become a foreboding maze, and the tension in the air was palpable. Suddenly, a low growl rumbled through the silence, sending a shiver down Meylin's spine. She stopped in her tracks, holding up a hand to signal the others to do the same.
Did you hear that?
She asked, her voice low and urgent. Marcus nodded, his muscles tensing as he prepared for whatever was coming.
Something's out there.
He confirmed, his voice a growl of its own. The growl grew louder, more menacing, and was soon joined by the sound of rustling leaves and snapping twigs. The shadows among the trees began to shift and move, taking on shapes that were all too familiar to the seasoned warriors. Dark, indistinct figures darted between the trees, their eyes glowing with a sinister light.
Get ready.
Gaiting warned, his voice calm but firm.
We're not alone.
Before they could react, a blood-curdling roar split the air, and the dark figures lunged from the shadows, their forms becoming clear as they charged at the group. The dark force had found them. Battle in the clearing. The ambush was swift and brutal. The dark creatures surged toward them, their twisted forms a nightmarish blend of shadow and substance. They moved with unnatural speed, their eyes glowing with a malevolent hunger as they closed in on the group. Meylin's sword was in her hand before she had time to think, the blade gleaming in the dim light as she prepared to defend herself. Marcus, however, was quicker. With a roar that matched the ferocity of their attackers, he positioned himself in front of Meylin and Bao, his gladiator instincts kicking in as he sized up the situation.
Stay behind me.
He barked, his voice a commanding presence amidst the chaos. Without hesitation, Marcus launched himself at the nearest creature, his movements a blur of power and precision, His sword arced through the air, slicing through the dark form with ease. The creature let out a shriek as it disintegrated into shadows, but more quickly took its place, surging forward with renewed fury. Bao, despite his small size, was not one to be left out of the fight. He activated his built-in gadgets, deploying a burst of bright lights that momentarily blinded the advancing creatures. The sudden flare of light gave Marcus the opening he needed to strike again, his sword cutting through the darkness with deadly accuracy. Gaiting, standing back from the fray, quickly assessed the situation. He could see that the creatures were drawn to the shadows, using them as a means of attack.
Focus on the shadows.
He called out to the others.
They're using the darkness to hide their movements.
Meylin took his advice to heart. She scanned the area, her eyes darting from one shadow to the next, searching for the telltale signs of movement. When she spotted one, she lunged forward, her sword slicing through the darkness and dispersing the creature lurking within. As the battle raged on, the team began to find their rhythm. Marcus's combat prowess was unmatched, his experience as a gladiator evident in every precise strike and fluid movement. He fought with a determination that inspired the others, his fierce protection of his companions driving him forward with an unstoppable force. Meylin, too, found her place in the chaos. She moved with a warrior's grace, her strikes swift and sure as she cut down the creatures that dared to approach. Beside her, Bao provided crucial support, his gadgets creating moments of confusion among their enemies, giving the others the advantage they needed. Despite their efforts, the dark force was relentless. For every creature they defeated, more seemed to take its place, their numbers growing with each passing moment. The team was quickly becoming overwhelmed, their energy flagging as the battle dragged on. Realizing they needed a new strategy, Gaiting stepped forward, his voice cutting through the noise of battle.
Regroup.
He called out.
We need to work together, coordinate our attacks.
Meylin, Marcus, and Bao quickly fell back, forming a defensive circle around Gaiting. The creatures hesitated for a moment, seemingly thrown off by the sudden change in tactics.
Now.
Gaiting urged.
Strike together.
With a unified effort, the team launched a coordinated assault on the remaining creatures. Marcus took the lead, his sword flashing as he cut a path through the darkness. Meylin followed close behind, her strikes precise and deadly, while Bao used his gadgets to create openings for them to exploit. Under Gaiting's direction, the team moved as one, their attacks synchronized and devastating. One by one, the dark creatures fell, their forms dissolving into nothingness as they were driven back. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the last of the creatures was defeated, its death marked by a low, guttural hiss as it disintegrated into the shadows. The forest grew quiet once more, the echoes of battle fading into the distance. The team stood in the clearing, their breaths coming in heavy, ragged gasps as they took in the aftermath of the fight. The ground was littered with the remnants of the dark force, the air still tinged with the acrid scent of battle. But they had survived. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, their bond strengthened by the trials they had endured together. Wisdom and reflection. The adrenaline of the battle began to fade, leaving the group feeling the weight of exhaustion. Meylin sheathed her sword, her hand trembling slightly as the reality of what they had just faced settled in. Marcus, still on edge, scanned the surrounding forest, ensuring that there were no more surprises lurking in the shadows.
We did it.
Bao said softly, his voice filled with a mix of relief and disbelief.
We actually did it.
Meylin nodded, her eyes meeting his.
Yes, we did. But we can't let our guard down. The dark force won't stop here. It will come at us again, stronger than before.
Gaiting stepped forward, his presence calming the tension that still lingered in the air.
Meylin is right.
He said, his voice gentle but firm.
This was just the beginning. The dark force is testing us, trying to find our weaknesses. We must be prepared for whatever comes next.
The team gathered around Gaiting, their expressions a mix of determination and weariness. They knew that the road ahead would only grow more difficult, but they were ready to face it, together. Gaiting looked at each of them in turn, his eyes filled with a quiet wisdom.
You all fought bravely,
He said.
but bravery alone will not see us through this. We must also be wise, and we must face our fears head on.
Preparing for the next challenge. With their spirits lifted, the team began to discuss their next steps. The dark force had shown its hand, and they knew they couldn't afford to waste any time. They needed to act quickly, but also wisely, if they were to succeed in their mission.
We need a plan.
Meylin said, taking charge.
We can't just keep reacting to what the dark force does. We need to be proactive to take the fight to them.
Gaiting nodded in agreement.
You're right, Meylin. But we must also remember that the dark force is unpredictable. We'll need to be adaptable, ready to change our strategy at a moment's notice.
Bao, ever the tech enthusiast, pulled out one of his gadgets.
I can scout ahead with this.
He suggested, showing them a small drone-like device.
It'll give us a bird's eye view of the forest. Help us spot any potential ambushes before they happen.
Good idea, Bao.
Marcus said, his respect for the little panda growing with each passing moment.
We'll need every advantage we can get.
As Bao prepared his drone, Marcus took on the role of training the others in basic combat tactics.
We need to be able to move as one.
He explained, guiding Meylin and Gaiting through a series of coordinated strikes and defensive maneuvers.
If we can anticipate each other's movements, we'll be able to fight more effectively as a team.
Meylin found herself appreciating Marcus's leadership in battle. He was a natural fighter, but more than that, he was a protector. His experience and instinct were invaluable, and she knew that with him by her side, they stood a much better chance of surviving the battles to come. Gaiting, though not a warrior by nature, absorbed the lessons with surprising ease. His movements were graceful and precise, and while he lacked the raw power of Marcus or Meylin, his wisdom and calm demeanor provided a steadying influence on the group. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the forest floor, the team gathered together one final time before moving out. They had come a long way since their journey began, and they knew that the hardest challenges were still ahead of them. But they also knew that they were ready.
Let's finish this.
Meylin said, her voice filled with determination.
We have a mission to complete, and we won't stop until we've restored the balance of time.
The team nodded in agreement, their resolve unshakable. With a shared battle cry, they set off into the forest once more, ready to face whatever dangers lay ahead. The dark force had tested them, but it had not broken them. And now they were stronger than ever. As they disappeared into the shadows, the forest seemed to hold its breath, as if watching and waiting for the next chapter of their journey to unfold. But no matter what the future held, Meylin, Marcus, Bao, and Gaiting knew one thing for certain. They would face it together, as a team. Chapter 7. Strength in Unity. Bonds forged in fire. As the team gathers in a serene glade within the mystical forest, they share their personal stories, deepening their understanding of one another. Challenges arise when Bao's technology malfunctions, but through their newfound camaraderie, they overcome obstacles together. As they prepare for the next phase of their journey, they realize the true strength of their unity, ready to face whatever lies ahead. The serene glade. The team finally finds a peaceful clearing, a stark contrast to the chaos they've faced. The soft grass cushions their steps, and sunlight filters through the dense canopy above, casting dappled shadows on the ground. The air is filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the distant chirping of birds creates a soothing melody. Meylin, sensing the need for a moment of connection, suggests that they sit together and share their stories.
Let's take a moment to reflect.
Meylin says, her voice soft but commanding.
We've all come from different worlds, yet we're here together for a reason.
Marcus, usually reserved, is the first to speak.
I was a gladiator.
He begins, his voice tinged with sadness.
I fought to survive, to protect what little I had left. But it was a life of violence, of endless battles, until I found myself here.
Meylin listens intently, her heart aching for the pain Marcus has endured.
You are more than your past, Marcus,
she says gently.
You've become a protector, a friend, and we are grateful for that.
Bao, ever the playful one, can't resist lightening the mood.
Well, I may not have a dramatic past, but I do have a lot of cool gadgets.
He chirps, trying to cheer up the group. Gaiting, who has been quietly observing, finally speaks.
Our paths may have been different, but they have led us here, together. That is no coincidence. It is our destiny to restore balance to time.
Bao's malfunction. Just as the group begins to feel a sense of unity, Bao suddenly starts to glitch. His circuits flicker, and his usual playful demeanor turns frantic.
Oh no, not now.
Bao exclaims, his voice tinged with panic. His body jerks and twitches as his internal systems struggle to stabilize. Meylin rushes to Bao's side, her warrior instincts taking over.
Bao, stay with us!
She urges, her voice filled with concern. She gently places her hands on his furry exterior, trying to calm him down. Marcus, who had been wary of Bao's robotic nature, now feels a surge of protectiveness. He steps forward, unsure of how to help, but determined to do something.
What do we do?
He asks, looking at Meylin for guidance. Meylin meets his gaze, her eyes filled with determination.
We support him just as he has supported us. Bao is a part of our team, and we won't let him face this alone.
With a deep breath, Marcus reaches out and touches Bao's shoulder.
You're not alone, Bao.
He says, his voice firm yet gentle.
We've got your back.
Bao's systems gradually begin to stabilize. The flickering subsides, and he looks up at his friends with a grateful smile.
Thanks, everyone.
He says, his voice softening.
I don't know what happened, but I'm glad you're here.
Meylin smiles warmly at Bao, her heart swelling with pride.
We're a team, Bao. We take care of each other.
Marcus pledge. With Bao back to normal, the group takes a moment to reflect on what just happened. Marcus, who had always kept his emotions guarded, feels a shift within himself. For the first time, he realizes that he is no longer just a lone gladiator. He is part of something greater.
I never thought I'd find a family again.
Marcus admits, his voice filled with emotion.
But here, with all of you, I feel like I've finally found my place.
Meylin nods, her eyes shining with understanding.
You've become more than just a fighter, Marcus. You've become a protector, a leader, and we are stronger because of it.
Bao, ever the optimist, chimes in with a grin.
And don't forget, you've got a pretty awesome robot panda by your side.
The group laughs, the tension from earlier dissolving into a warm camaraderie. Gaiting, who had been watching with a knowing smile, finally speaks.
Strength is not just about physical power. It is about the bonds we forge and the courage we show in the face of adversity.
Marcus nods, feeling a newfound sense of purpose.
I vow to protect all of you no matter what comes our way. We are stronger together, and I will do whatever it takes to keep us safe.
Gaiting's guidance. Alipax was insanider. As the group prepares to move forward, Gaiting gathers them together for one final piece of wisdom.
Our journey is far from over,
He begins, his voice steady and wise.
but the bond we share will be our greatest strength. Remember, it is not just the artifact that holds power. It is our unity, our trust in one another that will see us through.
Meylin, Marcus, and Bao listen intently, their hearts swelling with determination. They know that the challenges ahead will be great, but they also know that they are ready to face them together.
Let's move forward as one.
Meylin says, her voice filled with resolve.
We will find the artifact and we will restore balance to time.
Bao nods enthusiastically, his eyes twinkling with excitement.
And maybe we'll have a little fun along the way, too.
Gaiting smiles, a sense of pride washing over him.
Indeed, young one. But remember, the path ahead will test us all. Stay true to yourselves and to each other.
With renewed determination, the team sets off once more, their hearts filled with hope and their spirits united, the heart of the temple. As they journey deeper into the forest, they finally arrive at the entrance of the ancient temple. The structure is grand, with towering pillars and intricate carvings that seem to come alive in the flickering light of the setting sun. Inside, the air is thick with magic, and the energy of the artifact pulses like a heartbeat. The team enters the temple with a sense of awe and reverence, knowing that they are close to their goal. The temple is filled with ornate puzzles and traps, each one designed to test their skills and their unity. Meylin takes the lead, her sharp mind deciphering the ancient riddles, while Bao uses his technological prowess to disable the traps. Marcus, ever the protector, keeps a watchful eye on their surroundings, ready to defend his friends at a moment's notice. Finally, they reach the heart of the temple, a grand altar room where the artifact is kept. The room is bathed in a soft, golden light, and the artifact rests on a pedestal in the center, surrounded by a ring of mystical flames. As they approach the artifact, the dark force makes its presence known, sending a chill through the room. The flames flicker wildly, and the shadows grow darker, closing in on the team. But they are not afraid. With Marcus's strength, Meylin's leadership, Bao's ingenuity, and Gaiting's wisdom, they stand together, ready to face whatever comes their way. As they reach out together and grasp the artifact, the room erupts in a brilliant flash of light. The artifact's power is unleashed, sending a shockwave through the temple that dispels the dark force completely. As the light fades, the team finds themselves standing in a serene, peaceful chamber. The artifact now glowing gently in their hands. They share a moment of triumph and reflection, knowing they've not only saved their world, but also forged a bond that will last beyond time itself. Chapter 8. The Whisper of the Dragon. The Hidden Temple. Meylin led her companions through the dense, ancient forest, following Bao's precise directions as they neared the source of the mysterious energy. The temple they found was unlike anything they had seen before. Its structure seemed to blend ancient and alien designs with symbols that shifted as they moved. The air grew thick with a palpable energy, signaling that they were close to something monumental. As they stepped inside, the temple's walls began to glow with a soft light, guiding them deeper into its heart. The group could feel a powerful presence ahead, both familiar and utterly alien. They pressed on, their determination unshaken, despite the growing sense of foreboding. Shenlong's revelation. In the grand chamber at the temple's core, they found themselves before a large stone pedestal. As before, the air rippled, and a vortex of energy formed above the pedestal. This time, however, the energy felt more intense, almost oppressive. With a flash of light, Shenlong materialized, his massive form coiling gracefully in the air. Shenlong's scales shimmered with cosmic energy, and his eyes glowed with the wisdom of eons.
"You have come far, warriors,"
Shenlong said, his voice reverberating through the chamber.
"but you must prepare yourselves, for what lies ahead will test the very fabric of your existence."
Meylin stepped forward, her voice steady.
Who are you, and why have you brought us here?
Shenlong's gaze softened as he regarded the group.
"I am Shenlong, guardian of balance. I am not of this world, but from a distant galaxy, where I have watched over Earth for millennia. Your world is a crucial nexus in the universe, and I have been its protector against forces that seek to disrupt its balance."
Marcus, trying to understand, asked,
What are these forces, and what does this have to do with us?
Before Shenlong could answer, a shadow fell over the chamber, and a cold, menacing voice echoed through the air.
"It has everything to do with you, descendant of the one who betrayed me."
The dark force revealed. From the shadows emerged the dark force, a being of pure malevolence, his form shifting between shadow and substance. His eyes burned with a fierce red light, and his presence sent a chill through the group. Meylin instinctively raised her sword, while Marcus's grip tightened on his weapon. Gaiting began to chant softly, drawing on his spiritual energy to fortify their defenses.
Who are you?
Meylin demanded, her voice unwavering. The dark force sneered, his voice dripping with contempt.
"I am the darkness that lurks in the hearts of men, the force that seeks to unbind the chains of time and space. I am from a parallel universe, one where chaos reigns and time is mine to command. And now I seek to bring that chaos to your world."
Shenlong moved forward, his body glowing with cosmic energy.
"You shall not succeed, Dark One. This world is under my protection."
The dark force laughed, a sound that sent shivers down their spines.
"Your protection? You have grown weak, Shenlong. Your time as guardian is over. The universe will bow to me, and I will reshape it in my image."
Marcus stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as he confronted the dark force.
You said something about my ancestor. What do you mean?
The dark force's eyes flashed with anger.
"Your ancestor Lucius was once a servant of mine, a warrior who sought to harness my power for his own gain. But when he realized the true extent of my plans, he betrayed me, sealing me away in this accursed temple with Shenlong's help. For centuries, I have waited, growing stronger, and now I will have my revenge on you, Lucius's descendant, and on this world."
Shenlong nodded solemnly.
"It is true, Marcus. Your ancestor was a great warrior, but his ambitions led him down a dark path. He sought to control time itself, and in doing so, he unleashed the dark force. Together, we managed to seal him away, but the seal has weakened over time.
Marcus, his heart heavy with the weight of his lineage, said,
Then it falls to me to correct his mistake. We will stop you.
The dark force's form flickered with dark energy as he prepared for battle.
You can try, but you will fail. The power of the universe will be mine.
The battle for time. With a roar, the dark force unleashed a wave of dark energy, aiming to engulf the group. Shenlong countered with a blast of cosmic energy, the two forces clashing with a thunderous explosion. The impact sent shockwaves through the temple, and the group struggled to maintain their footing. Meylin and Marcus charged forward, their weapons glowing with the energy Shenlong had bestowed upon them. They fought with precision and determination, their strikes aimed at the dark force's shifting form. But the dark force was fast, his movements unpredictable as he danced between shadow and light. Bao, his systems running at full capacity, analyzed the dark force's energy patterns.
He's using a combination of dark matter and anti-time energy. If we can disrupt his connection to the parallel universe, we might weaken him.
Gaiting, his hands glowing with spiritual energy, stepped forward.
I will do what I can to sever his connection. The universal force flows through all things, and even he cannot escape it.
The dark force turned his attention to Gaiting, sensing the threat.
You are a fool to think your spiritual power can match mine.
With a snarl, the dark force unleashed a barrage of dark energy at Gaiting, but the Taoist stood firm, his chants growing louder as he summoned the cyclic power of the universe. A glowing barrier formed around him, deflecting the dark force's attack and sending it back towards its origin. Shenlong seized the opportunity, his body glowing with cosmic light.
Now, warriors, strike with all your might.
Meylin and Marcus launched a coordinated attack, their weapons infused with Shenlong's energy. They struck the dark force simultaneously, their blows disrupting his form and causing him to recoil in pain. Bao, using his advanced technology, sent a pulse through the temple's energy matrix, destabilizing the dark force's connection to the parallel universe. The dark force roared in fury, his form flickering as he struggled to maintain control.
You cannot defeat me. I am eternal. I am...
The ancestral bond. As the battle raged on, Marcus felt a strange sensation, as if something, or someone, was reaching out to him. A voice echoed in his mind, soft and familiar.
Marcus, I am sorry.
Startled, Marcus glanced around, but the voice continued, resonating within his soul.
It is I, Lucius, your ancestor. I am the one who brought this curse upon our family. I sought power, but in my greed I unleashed a force beyond my control. I was wrong and I failed. But you can end this.
Marcus's heart pounded in his chest as he processed the revelation.
What must I do?
Lucius's voice grew fainter, but the message was clear.
The sword you wield is more than just a weapon. It was forged with the power of the cosmos, a gift from Shenlong himself. Use it to sever the dark force's connection to this world. Only then can he be defeated.
With newfound resolve, Marcus gripped his sword tightly, feeling the cosmic energy pulsing through it. He knew what had to be done.
Meylin and Bao, Gaiting, we have to strike together. It's the only way.
Meylin nodded, her eyes burning with determination.
We're with you, Marcus. Let's end this.
The group formed a circle around the dark force, their weapons and energies aligned. Shenlong, hovering above, channeled his cosmic power into them, creating a nexus of light and energy that pulsed with the rhythm of the universe. The dark force, sensing his impending defeat, lashed out with all his might, but it was too late. Marcus, guided by the spirit of his ancestor, raised his sword high and brought it down with a powerful strike, aimed directly at the dark force's core. The sword cut through the dark force's form, severing his connection to the parallel universe. With a final, ear-splitting scream, the dark force's form shattered into 1,000,000 shards of darkness, which dissolved into nothingness. The portal to the Forgotten Realm. As the dust settled from the battle, the temple walls began to shift again, revealing a hidden passageway that seemed to stretch infinitely. Bao, with his advanced sensors, detected an unusual fluctuation in time and space emanating from the passage.
This isn't just a passage.
He exclaimed.
It's a portal to another realm.
Shenlong, still hovering but visibly weakened, nodded.
Indeed, this is the Forgotten Realm, a place between worlds where the past, present, and future converge. Only those who are chosen can enter.
Curious, Meylin stepped forward.
What lies beyond this portal?
A place where time travelers and beings from ancient civilizations have hidden their greatest secrets.
Shenlong explained.
But it is also where the dark force drew some of its power. If you wish to learn more about your true enemy, you must venture inside.
Gaiting, ever the wise, cautioned.
The Forgotten Realm is unpredictable. It could reveal truths we are not prepared to face, or traps that challenge our very existence.
Marcus, his resolve hardened by the recent battle, said,
We have come this far, faced this much. If this portal holds the answers, then we must go through it, together.
The group, united by their shared purpose, stepped into the portal. The sensation was disorienting, like being pulled through a tunnel of swirling colors and ancient echoes. When they emerged, they found themselves in a vast landscape filled with relics from various epochs, pyramids, alien structures, futuristic skyscrapers, all interwoven in a tapestry of time. Bao's eyes widened in awe.
It's like a museum of the universe's secrets.
Shenlong guided them toward a central obelisk that pulsated with energy.
This obelisk is the key to understanding the dark force's true nature. It contains memories of those who have fought against it across time.
As they touched the obelisk, a flood of visions engulfed them. Images of time travelers, ancient civilizations making contact with extraterrestrial beings, and the constant battle to protect the fabric of reality from those who sought to tear it apart. The Guardians of Time. Amidst these visions, the group encountered ethereal beings, the temple guardians and forest spirits, who had protected the secrets of the Forgotten Realm for millennia. They appeared as shimmering figures, each one an amalgamation of ancient warriors and mystical entities, their forms shifting like the sands of time. One of the guardians, with a voice that resonated like 1,000 echoes, spoke.
You who have crossed into the Forgotten Realm, you carry the burden of restoring balance. The dark force was but one of many threats. Others will come, drawn to the power that lies here.
Meylin, her hand on her sword, asked,
What must we do to protect this place?
The forest spirit, a figure composed of leaves and light, answered,
You must seal this realm from those who wish to exploit it. Use the ancient sigils of protection which are guarded by the elders of time.
Bao, always quick to act, began scanning for the sigils.
Got it.
They're scattered across the realm, hidden in pockets of distorted time. As the group split up to locate the sigils, Marcus felt a strange presence following him. Turning around, he saw a figure clad in Roman armor, a mirror image of himself, but older, more worn.
Who are you?
Marcus demanded, raising his sword. The figure smiled, a weary but kind expression on his face.
I am you, Marcus, or rather who you could become. I am from a future where the battle against chaos never ended.
Marcus, stunned, lowered his sword.
Why are you here? To guide you?
The older Marcus replied,
To show you that our fight is eternal, but so is our courage. We must continue to protect time, for it is the fabric that holds the universe together.
Meanwhile, Gaiting, alongside Meylin and Bao, managed to retrieve the sigils. Shenlong, channeling his remaining strength, helped them inscribe the protective symbols around the obelisk, closing the realm off from intruders. The legacy of the Guardians. As the final remnants of the dark force dissolved into the ether, the chamber grew quiet, the tension of battle replaced by a profound stillness. Shenlong, hovering above the group, let out a long, weary breath, his form flickering as his cosmic energy waned. The temple, once filled with the oppressive weight of impending doom, now seemed at peace, a sanctuary of triumph and hard-won victory. Meylin sheathed her sword and looked around at her companions. Despite their exhaustion, there was a shared sense of accomplishment in their eyes. They had succeeded in their mission, but the reality of their imminent separation weighed heavily on them. Shenlong descended slowly to the ground, his eyes glowing with pride and gratitude.
You have restored the balance of the universe, and your courage will be remembered for eons. But now, it is time for you to return to your own timelines. The bonds you have forged here will transcend time and space, but your paths must diverge.
Meylin turned to Marcus, Bao, and Gaiting, her voice tinged with both gratitude and sadness.
I couldn't have done this without you. You've all become more than just allies. You're my friends. I'll carry the memories of this journey with me always.
Marcus, his expression firm but warm, placed a hand on her shoulder.
We've been through a lot together, and we've all grown because of it. No matter where we go, this bond we share will stay with us. Take care, Meylin.
Gaiting, with his calm and steady demeanor, nodded in agreement.
The universe has a way of bringing kindred spirits together. Though we part ways now, the wheel of time will turn again, and our paths will cross once more.
Meylin then turned to Bao, her eyes softening as she looked at her closest companion.
Bao, I'm going to miss you. You've been more than just a friend. You've been like family to me.
Bao's usually bright demeanor faltered for a moment, his mechanical eyes dimming slightly.
I'll miss you too, Meylin. We've been through so much together, and I've learned a lot from you. You've taught me what it means to be brave, to be loyal, and to never give up. But this isn't goodbye, okay? We'll see each other again. I know it.
Meylin smiled, blinking back tears.
Promise?
Bao's eyes brightened again as he gave a firm nod.
Promise. And in the meantime, I'll keep working on new gadgets. Maybe something that can help us find each other, no matter where we are.
Meylin laughed softly, her heart feeling both heavy and hopeful.
I wouldn't expect anything less from you.
Shenlong, his form now fading, spoke with a gentle finality.
Your journey together ends here, but the strength you've found in each other will guide you in the days to come. The universe is vast, and though you must part, know that you are never truly alone.
A vortex of light swirled into existence in the chamber's center, humming softly as it opened a gateway to their respective timelines. Meylin, after one last look at her friends, stepped into the light. The transition was seamless, and in an instant, she was back in her village. The ancient artifact, once a powerful tool in their battle, was now a cherished relic. She stood before her fellow warriors, her voice strong as she recounted the journey that had transformed her from a lone warrior into a true leader. Marcus followed, stepping into the vortex and emerging in the familiar sands of the gladiator training grounds. The weight of his ancestors' legacy no longer burdened him. Instead, it empowered him to teach young warriors the value of friendship and redemption, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. Bao, ever the inventive explorer, returned to his futuristic world. He quickly assembled a new gadget, a holographic projection of his friends. As their images flickered to life, Bao grinned, knowing that the bond they shared would endure, no matter where the future took them. Gaiting was the last to step through, returning to his time nexus. There, he observed the flow of all timelines, content in the knowledge that the seeds of unity, courage, and friendship had been planted across time. The temple, now silent, stood as a monument to their courage. The guardians, having fulfilled their duty, faded into the ancient stone walls, leaving only the soft echo of their voices, a reminder that the journey, though ended, would never truly be over. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the legacy of Meylin, Marcus, Bao, and Gaiting lived on, a promise that time, friendship, and unity would always prevail, no matter the challenge. Appendix.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through time and space. Before we conclude, here is an appendix with additional insights and background information to enrich your experience of Guardians of the Time Balance.
Character profiles. Meet the brave souls who traverse time and space to safeguard the balance of the universe. Meylin, a fearless young warrior from ancient China. Meylin is both a skilled fighter and a natural leader. She is driven by a sense of justice and a deep commitment to protecting her world from forces that seek to disrupt its harmony. Her journey is one of self-discovery, learning to balance her strength with wisdom as she navigates the mysteries of time. Bao, not just an ordinary red panda, Bao is a technological marvel with the ability to manipulate time. Created in a future where technology and nature coexist, Bao brings both humor and ingenuity to the group. His playful nature often disguises his deep loyalty and bravery, making him a crucial ally in their quest. Marcus, a Roman gladiator with a strong sense of honor and a lineage linked to ancient secrets, Marcus is transported from his time to join this adventure where he must reconcile the legacy of his ancestors with his own path. His courage and combat skills are matched only by his willingness to learn and grow as a person. Gaiting, a sage and mentor with profound spiritual insight, Gaiting serves as the group's moral compass. He possesses knowledge of both ancient traditions and future technologies, allowing him to guide the group through their multi-dimensional journey. Gaiting's wisdom is vital in helping the group navigate the complexities of time and space. Shenlong, a celestial dragon who embodies the balance of cosmic energies. Shenlong is a guardian of time. With scales that shimmer like stars and eyes that reflect the wisdom of eons, Shenlong serves as both protector and guide. His knowledge of the universe's secrets is vast and his power formidable, making him a key figure in the battle against the forces of chaos. Dark Force, A being of pure malevolence from a parallel universe, the dark force seeks to unbind the chains of time and space. Representing chaos and destruction, this entity aims to reshape the universe in its image, challenging our heroes at every turn. Temple guardians and forest spirits, ethereal beings tasked with protecting the secrets of the Forgotten Realm and the ancient forests. They are the keepers of balance, ensuring that the mysteries of time and space remain intact and hidden from those who would misuse them. Timeline of events. Follow the key events that shape the journey of our heroes across time and space. The Awakening. Meylin, a young warrior from ancient China, encounters Bao, a technologically advanced red panda, sparking the beginning of an epic quest. The Gathering of Heroes. Marcus, a Roman gladiator, and Gaiting, a wise mentor, join Meylin and Bao as they are drawn into the mystery of the time disruptions. The Revelation of the Dragon. Shenlong, the celestial dragon, reveals himself to the group, warning them of the dark force that threatens the balance of time. The Battle in the Temple. Our heroes face off against the dark force in an ancient temple, battling to prevent it from unraveling time. The Forgotten Realm. The group discovers the Forgotten Realm, a dimension where ancient civilizations, time travelers, and extraterrestrial beings intersect. The final confrontation. With the guidance of their ancestors and the wisdom of Shenlong, the heroes confront the dark force in a decisive battle that determines the fate of the universe. Restoring balance. Having sealed the portal to the parallel universe and restored balance, the heroes return to their respective timelines, carrying with them the lessons and bonds forged through their incredible journey. Glossary of terms. Chini, glossary of terms to help you navigate the unique concepts and ideas explored in Guardians of the Time Balance. Quantum nexus, a point in time and space where different dimensions and timelines intersect, allowing for travel between them. Temporal distortion, a disruption in the flow of time, often caused by powerful forces or advanced technology that alters the natural course of events. Parallel universes, alternate realities that exist alongside our own, each with its own unique timeline and rules of existence. Dark matter energy, a mysterious form of energy that the dark force uses to manipulate time and space, originating from a parallel universe where chaos reigns. Cosmic balance, the natural equilibrium of the universe, maintained by forces that govern time, space, and reality itself. Celestial dragon, a mythical guardian of the universe's balance, with the ability to traverse time and space and protect the fabric of existence. Forgotten realm, a hidden dimension where ancient civilizations, time travelers, and alien beings converge, containing secrets that could alter the course of history. Map of the multiverse. Visualize the vast and interconnected worlds of the multiverse explored in Guardians of the Time Balance. The multiverse consists of several layers of existence, each with its own unique characteristics and rules. The Prime World, our hero's home dimension, where the story begins and where time flows in a familiar, linear fashion. The Ancient Realms, dimensions closely linked to Earth's ancient civilizations, such as ancient China and the Roman Empire, where history and myth converge. The Future Nexus, a futuristic dimension where technology has advanced far beyond our understanding, home to beings like Bao and other time travelers. The Parallel Universe of Chaos, a dimension dominated by the dark force, where time and space are in constant flux and chaos reigns supreme. The Forgotten Realm, a secret dimension where all timelines and realities intersect, guarded by mystical beings and containing the hidden truths of the universe. Each realm is connected through the quantum nexus, allowing for travel and interaction between these vastly different worlds. As our heroes journey through the multiverse, they encounter the wonders and dangers that lie within each unique dimension. Endnotes.
To enhance your understanding of the themes and concepts explored in Guardians of the Time Balance, here are a few endnotes that provide additional insights and reflections from the author. Inspiration behind the story. The story draws inspiration from both ancient mythology and modern scientific theories. The idea of blending ancient civilizations with futuristic technology and alien influences came from a fascination with how these different aspects of storytelling can coexist and create a richer narrative experience. Quantum theory and time travel. The concepts of time travel, parallel universes, and quantum theory are grounded in real-world scientific exploration. This story takes these complex theories and imagines them in a universe where they are not just theories, but practical realities that shape the fate of our characters. The role of ancient civilizations. Ancient civilizations like those of China and Rome play a significant role in the story, serving as a bridge between the mystical and the scientific. These settings were chosen to highlight the enduring mysteries and wisdom of the past, which still captivate the imagination today. Exploring themes of balance and unity. A central theme of the story is the balance between chaos and order, light and dark, past and future. The character's journey reflects the importance of unity, courage, and understanding in maintaining this delicate balance, both in the universe and in our own lives. Philosophical reflections. This narrative also delves into philosophical questions about fate, free will, and the nature of existence. By confronting these themes through the lens of time travel and parallel realities, the story invites listeners to reflect on their own beliefs about the forces that shape our world.
Bibliography. For those interested in exploring the themes and ideas further, here is a selected bibliography of works that inspired and informed Guardians of the Time Balance. Books on quantum mechanics and time travel. The Fabric of the Cosmos by Brian Greene. A comprehensive exploration of the universe's hidden dimensions, time, and space. This book inspired the story's depiction of parallel universes and the manipulation of time. Time Travel. A History by James Gleick. This work explores the cultural, scientific, and literary history of time travel, providing foundational concepts that shape the narrative's approach to temporal adventures. Studies on ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial theories. Chariots of the Gods by Eric von Däniken. A provocative look at ancient civilizations and the possible influence of extraterrestrial beings, which inspired the interplay between ancient wisdom and advanced technologies in the story. Lost Cities and Ancient Mysteries of Africa and Arabia by David Hatcher Childress. A detailed exploration of ancient myths and archaeological mysteries that provided a backdrop for the ancient elements of the story. fictional inspirations and storytelling. The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. The classic fantasy series that blends adventure, myth, and deeper philosophical themes, influencing the narrative's multi-layered storytelling. The Dark Tower. Series by Stephen King. A genre-bending epic that combines fantasy, science fiction, and Western elements, offering inspiration for the story's complex narrative structure and exploration of multiple dimensions. Philosophical and spiritual insights. The Tao of Physics by Fritjof Capra. A unique fusion of modern physics and Eastern mysticism, which influenced the story's themes of balance, unity, and interconnectedness. The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. A study of the archetypal hero's journey found in myths around the world, providing a framework for the character arcs and narrative progression in the story. Closing remarks. As we close this chapter, we hope Guardians of the Time Balance has sparked your imagination and curiosity. Stay tuned for future adventures that will further explore the mysteries of time and space. Thank you for listening, and may your own journey through the universe be filled with wonder and discovery. The end. You have just listened to Guardians of the Time Balance, How a Warrior and a Panda Save Time, written by Alden Gray. This audiobook was narrated by Sierra from 11 Labs and self-published by the author Alden Gray. We hope you enjoyed this journey through time and space, filled with adventure, mystery, and cosmic wonders. If you loved this audiobook, please consider leaving a review to share your thoughts and help others discover this exciting tale. Thank you for joining us on this adventure. Stay tuned for future stories that will continue to explore the mysteries of time and the universe. Thank you for listening. This has been a self-published production by Alden Gray. All rights reserved. No part of this audiobook may be reproduced or transmitted without the author's permission.